So tonight we are drinking Severed Lime.
Of the Liquid Death brand.
Indeed. I am more and more a fan. I originally thought it was fine, but I've come to like it quite a lot.
Well, the people at the concert hall have to know that you're tough, even when you only want a sparkling water to drink.
I think their tea is even better.
I didn't know they had a tea.
It's, I believe, a newer offering, but they have one that's kind of an Arnold Palmer.
I would drink that.
It's quite good. You should give it a shot.
They're giving the Arizona folks a run for their money.
They really are.
Sure.
And it's way less sweet.
Okay. Sure, you'll pay $1 for this, but will you pay $4 for this? If we put a skull on it? This episode of the Home Alone Minute is sponsored by Liquid Death.
Oh, we're here. We're doing this.
That's it.
I forgot to close the garage. That's it. Okay, so we are on minute 10.
We made it to the double dig.
Double dig. Do you care to give your overview of what happens in minute 10?
Sure.
I feel like you do a better summary.
I'm the recapper
than I do.
Okay. Lines are getting drawn. Jerod.
I mean, I'm happy to do it. I just think you're better.
Well, thank you. I don't mind doing it. Jerod, in minute 10 of Home Alone, we see the family in the kitchen. I think this is all kitchen. We've got an all kitchen minute, right?
That sounds right. Yep.
I think we're in an all kitchen minute. I think it begins with Mom telling everybody, I hope you're all drinking milk. I want to get rid of it. And then we see Kevin looking for some pizza. Buzz mocks him. And Kevin attacks him. And Fuller is told to go easy on the Pepsi. And the attack sort of creates a fracas in the kitchen. There's a stir. There's a commotion.
There's some hubbub.
There's a lot of hubbub in this minute. Both before Kevin blows his top and after.
Okay. So, like you say, it starts with, let's call her Mom.
Let's call her Mom.
Because we keep calling her Kate and calling him Peter, but
they're Mom and Dad.
Do they get addressed by first name more often than they get addressed by Mom and Dad?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We can interchange them.
So Mom's trying to get rid of the milk, which is something I remember from childhood. I don't know if you do.
You're traveling. You don't want to come home to a bunch of spoiled stuff.
Yeah.
You're busy enough. You're not going to have time to flush the milk down the sink before you leave. And it's going to be bad news if you come home. So you want everyone to be drinking milk. Everyone should have a big glass of milk with their pizza.
It is kind of the little kid pairing.
I mean, that's a school lunch, right?
Yeah,
that's a school lunch, a rectangle of pizza and a milk.
Yeah, you're all set. This pizza, though, costs a bit more than school lunch, right? Dad says to Mom, somebody's got to pay the pizza guy, and he says the exact amount, and then he also says plus tip.
In case you forgot.
So,
Kate.
Yeah, is that his way of reminding himself out loud? Or is that like a, hey, Kate, we've had some issues in the past where you didn't tip?
I don't think that's
just a reminder.
I think it is a subtle flex of just how much this pizza cost. It's not just 122.50 total. It's 122.50, and I haven't even calculated the tip onto that. So the plus tip is sort of like a weird flex. Like, look how much pizza we've got. Look at how much money we owe this pizza guy. 122.50 plus the gratuity he's earned for knocking over our statue.
Which still doesn't even preempt her response, which is
For pizza?
for pizza?
She's surprised. Everybody's surprised that a lot of pizza costs a lot of money. When a
I
lot of
do
anything
appreciate.
costs a lot of money.
I think maybe that's why I didn't think it was flex or not referring to how much pizza there was, because she clearly didn't catch that. But my favorite part is that Frank, who has no intention of paying for it,
No.
is the one who's being like 10 pizzas times $12.
Yeah, we couldn't do the math on that. Thank you.
So this is one of the moments where a rewatch like this had me pick up a line that I don't know if I've consciously heard before.
Go ahead.
So when asked for the possibility of paying, Frank's like, traveler's check.
Yeah, his wife says, "You've got money."
Right. But after we hear Peter, the father, say something that I'm not really sure if I had caught before, which is saying that you probably got traveler's checks that don't work in France.
Yeah, it's kind of buried in like the transition back into like Kevin looking for the pizza and everything. But it's in there that there's this bickering and this calling out of Frank by his brother.
Yeah, just really clear character development of, okay, Frank, we've seen him be stingy a few times. He's going to continue to be stingy. So before we do go to that transition into Kevin and that beautiful interaction, I do want to point out a bit of ADR that even as a young person I caught was recorded separately. I don't know if would you call it a famous line? The Fuller go easy on the Pepsi.
I mean, we wrote a song about it. I think it might be my favorite Home Alone song.
It's pretty good.
We wrote a pretty good song.
Is the song better than the line?
Is the song better than the line?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. But like I say, I remember as a kid recognizing that was like a separate recording.
It sounds like sort of just distant. It does sound kind of cut in.
Yeah. And we'll probably get a bit more of that as we go on. But yes.
I think we're a little bit out of order, which is fine with me. I don't care. But while we're on the idea of Fuller going easy on the Pepsi, that face he makes when he puts down the Pepsi, and he seems to be looking at Kevin, right? Like we're under the impression that he's like eyeing Kevin down. He's so gleeful. He's so in love with the idea of peeing all over his cousin. It's pretty gross.
It's hard to know if you should chalk it up to pure acting ability or the fact that that's his actual brother. Because it's so real.
But there's an undertone to it, you know? Like, I get that he's just a little thorn in the side of Kevin at this moment. But the presumption that he's excited about what it means to be drinking all this Pepsi. He's aware of his problem. He's going to pee everywhere. And he's so into it.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about a John Hughes film where it becomes almost cartoonish. It becomes a bit surreal.
Yeah, I don't question it for a moment. It doesn't take me out of the movie. I'm not calling it a flaw. It's just wild.
No, I'd say the opposite. I'd say it's very hard to balance that. Something that you wouldn't necessarily call realistic. Like I say, it is a bit surreal and cartoonish, but it works. So we have kind of two brother dynamics happening at the same time, right? We have a downward with Kevin looking at Fuller, who's this jolly menace. But then we also have this upward where he's asking, the question any of us would ask: did anyone order me a plain cheese?
He's continuing his search from the previous minute of like looking for the plain cheese. He's sort of like peeking under pizza slices to no avail. So when he finally asked that, Buzz, who ordered the pizzas, happily lets him know that he did. But if you want any, someone's going to have to barf it all up.
How vicious.
It is really elegant because it all works. We heard Buzz earlier that he ordered the pizzas. We've seen Buzz tormenting Kevin already. We're now at the culmination of Buzz's treachery against his little brother of robbing him of dinner.
But then he has a rare moment of kindness. He feels something bubbling up deep within. And instead of just going to the bathroom or the trash can, he goes, Kev, get a plate.
I know I've told you this before, but it is I'm ashamed to admit that it took me decades to understand what Buzz was doing here. And I'm going to chalk it up to Devin Ratray being such an amazing performer that I really thought he was about to throw up. From a kid all the way through my 30s, I think, I believed that Buzz tells Kevin that they will have to barf up the pizza if he wants any. And then there's sort of a beat. And then I always assumed it was karmic retribution. I always assumed that like an actual need to vomit hit Buzz in some sort of, cosmic justice kind of thing. And he was about to throw up. It never made sense to me why he would want a plate.
Got it. That actually makes sense, the karma thing. I had never thought of it that way, but the karmic thing actually makes sense with that, as opposed to him foreshadowing what he's about to do. It's the narrative foreshadowing a karmic twist. I like it.
My my dumb kid brain uh, made that logical connection at some point when I first saw the movie, and I never let it go, despite the illogical idea that Buzz would want a plate if he was about to throw up. I really thought that it's like, oh, I guess this family gets plates. They throw up on plates. My family throws up on in a bowl, but they're a plate family. Again, I know I'm dumb, but here we are.
Either way, that is the inciting incident for the second half chaos for this minute.
We know what really started the problem, which I'm not as ashamed to only realize this relatively uh, recently. But really, the big problem was that Kate wanted them to drink milk, so someone got the milk out, and now when Kevin attacks Buzz, there's milk everywhere. Passports.
And soda.
Yes, yes, I do appreciate just how much Peter's willing to destroy dinner to knock over all the soda to get at the passports.
It's praiseworthy, the attack on Kevin's part, because he does a spear that would make Bill Goldberg proud. And you can see it in Fuller's change in disposition, because he goes from jolly menace to this child in awe of what he's seeing. He's like,
He
wow.
says, wow. He lets out like a literal, wow. This I gotta see. Which I think leads to, I think it's one of two things that were shot in reverse in this movie.
I was about to say that this is a reverse shot, right? Like him being backed up into the wall with a chair.
Yeah, that was definitely they had the chair comfortably up against his face, and then they shot it the other way. That's how you do it in Hollywood.
One other thing I noticed toward the end of this minute is, while there is a lot of movement, it looks like Lenny and Tracy might be the only ones actually helping.
Oh, interesting.
Like everyone seems to be more interested in like the fight that's going on, whereas, like you say, Peter yells passport. And I think only a couple of people pick up on that. Everyone else is too involved in the chaos itself.
And we don't even see the fight between Kevin and Buzz. I think in the hands of lesser filmmakers, that would have been uh, choreographed and shot and cut in. Like we would see the pushing, the shoving, and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually more interesting the commotion that is caused around it. We know that they're sitting there wrestling with each other. That Kevin's attacking. It's interesting that it sounds like Kevin's sort of winning this fight in his 8-year-old rage, and I think it's telling that we don't see his small victory at this moment, because if we did, then like we would be maybe less on his side, like less inclined to be rooting for him later.
Yeah. So I think this brings me to one big question I have for you, which is, what topping would you prefer on your pizza between pineapple or Pepsi?
Man, I'm not a pineapple guy at all. I'm not a pineapple guy, but honestly, I'm a Coke guy as well. More of a Home Alone 2 dude in that regard. But I probably don't want soggy pizza. So I guess I'll pick off the pineapple.
Noted.
Would you rather have olives on your pizza or milk?
Milk, hands down.
Mm. Okay. I guess there's already sort of milk on the pizza in a way.
Yeah, you just have to wait a little while. I'd honestly rather have plane tickets on my pizza than olives.
Passports.
And that's the minute.
All right.
Um, that is minute 10. So from 0900 to 1000.
Yeah, now we're in the double digits. We made it as a podcast. I think we're legit now. I think a 10 episodes, quite a milestone.
Agreed. Who do you want to thank?
I guess my wife for sort of inventing this podcast.
Okay.
Who would you like to thank?
Thanks to her. I would thank my wife, but she doesn't like me talking about her on the podcast anymore.
Have you been asked to cease?
No. I'm just taking it upon myself to practice a bit more digital modesty.
So when y'all two are kissing, what's that like?